Hello all. So in today's session, we are going to learn select topics from this chapter, the triangle and its properties. So what is a triangle? A triangle is a three-sided polygon. Now, what's a polygon? A polygon is a simple closed figure made up of straight line segments. So you can also define a triangle this way. It's a simple closed figure of three sides made up of straight line segments. So a very quick recap of what a simple closed figure is and what is not. So in this case, you see that there is some polygon where these lines have intersected, they have crossed each other. So this is not a simple closed figure. This is not a simple closed figure. On the other hand, if you have something like this, where the lines have not crossed each other, unlike this, then this is a simple closed figure. And because this has three sides, this becomes a triangle. So let us look at this. ABC is a triangle that we will be referring to talk about a few elements that are in this triangle. So what are the various elements in this triangle? The points A, B, and C, the corners, or the vertices as we call them. So A, B, C are the three vertices. Singular is vertex. So A is a vertex, but A and B and C are vertices. That's how we call them. This is one. And the second set of elements AB, BC, and CA are the sides of this triangle. And angle A, angle B, and angle C are the three angles. So in all, this triangle has 9 elements. A and B and C vertices. AB and BC and CA sides. Angle A, angle B, and angle C angles. So there are 9 elements in all. We will not now talk about some more elements that we have perhaps heard of but are not very sure about. Well, let's look at what all those are. The next topic is medians. So what do you mean by medians? Well, we have three triangles here. This is an acute angle triangle. So you know what an acute angle triangle is, where all three angles are acute. Each one is less than 90 degrees. Then we have a right angle triangle. What do you know about right angle triangle? We have one angle which measures 90 degrees. The remaining two are acute angles. And then there is this obtuse triangle where we have one obtuse angle. What do you mean by an obtuse angle? Which measures more than 90 degrees. So this is an obtuse triangle. Now let us start our discussion with an acute angle triangle, and the same concept holds for every other. So let us focus on the triangle ABC, which happens to be an acute angle triangle. Now let's take any side. Let's take the side BC. Well, it has a certain measure. It could be 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, or whatever. And this one has a midpoint. And what do you mean by midpoint? A midpoint is that point in a triangle which divides that side into two equal parts. So let's say we mark this point as D, which happens to be the midpoint of the side BC. So again, BC is a side of this triangle and D is its midpoint. Now if you join this point with the opposite vertex, in this case we join AD. This line, which is drawn from a vertex, in this case A, to the midpoint of the opposite side, that's called the median of a triangle. So let us write this down. Let's write the definition down. A median is a straight line joining a vertex to the midpoint of opposite side. Say a line joining a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side is called a median of a triangle. So looking at this triangle, we are all confining our discussion to A, B and C, triangle A, B and C for now. So looking at this, how many medians do you think a triangle will have? Yes, you're right, that's right, 3. We will have 3 medians because there are 3 vertices or vertices, and a median can be drawn from every vertex. And where would it be drawn to? It would be drawn to the midpoint of the opposite side. So from B, if we are to draw a median, it would be to the midpoint of the side AC. Let's call this point E. So BE is the second median. And the third median would be from the point C, from this vertex, to the midpoint of its opposite side. The opposite side is AB. Let's call the midpoint F. So this is the third median. So ABC is a triangle. AD, BE and CF are the 3 medians. And let's note this, the point where the 3 medians intersect. Again, the point in a triangle where the 3 medians intersect. Let's call this the point O. That's called the centroid of the triangle. That's the centroid. So this point O, which is the point of intersection of the 3 medians, well, it's this point rather. This point O, which is the point where the 3 medians intersect, is called the centroid of the triangle. Just as this triangle, we are very quickly going to draw the medians for the remaining 2 triangles. So in the right angle triangle, again, as you can see that if we call the midpoint as say X, then QX is a median. If this is the midpoint of the side QR, let's call this point Y, PY is another median. And if this is the midpoint of the side Z, then as you can see, this is another median. So these are the 3 medians. If we call this point O, then this is the centroid of this triangle. Similarly, you have 3 medians in this obtuse angled triangle as well. So let's name them A and B and C. And this point O is the centroid. So again, a summary. Any triangle has 3 medians. What is a median? A median is a line drawn from a vertex to the midpoint of its opposite side in a triangle. So that's a median. There are 3 medians. These 3 medians will always intersect at one point, and that point is called the centroid of the triangle. One thing worth noting here is that the centroid will lie inside the triangle. Very important. Another point worth noting is that each of the medians of any triangle, and how many medians are there? 3 medians. Each of these medians will lie inside the triangle. As you can see, PY or XB or AD or BE, every one of these lies inside the triangle. So with this, you should be good with the concept of medians. The next concept that we are going to learn is altitudes. Well, we are onto triangles and we now learn altitude in triangle. So what is an altitude? Again, there are 3 kinds of angles, types of triangles that we have drawn. This is an acute triangle, this is a right triangle, and this is an obtuse triangle. Let us first focus on this triangle ABC, which happens to be an acute triangle. So what is an altitude? An altitude is a line drawn from a vertex, and which is perpendicular to the opposite side. So let me just read this out in slow motion, call it. A line drawn from a vertex, so one of these altitudes will start from the point A, a line drawn from the vertex and which is perpendicular to the opposite side. That's an altitude. So in this case, if I draw a line, let's say AD, and which is perpendicular to the side BC, then AD happens to be the altitude. Hey, you must have heard about this term altitude. What is the altitude of Mount Everest? What is the altitude of that peak? So altitude is height. That's what it is, height. Now in this case, again, there are three altitudes. We have drawn one from A. You can draw another one from B to the opposite side, which will be perpendicular to the side AC. And the third one, so this is here, let's call it BE. And then there is a third one, which is CF. So as you can see, this is the convention. This is the notation used to denote a right angle. And that's why it is perpendicular. So there are three altitudes again that you can have in one triangle. Let's call this point the point of intersection as O. And this point where the three altitudes meet, this point in a triangle is called the ortho center. So that's the ortho center of a triangle. Now coming to a right triangle, in this case PQR, we see that PQ is perpendicular to QR already because this is a right triangle. So PQ happens to be the height of the triangle. So in this case, we have AD, BE, and CF as the heights or the altitudes of a triangle. In this case, PQ, and because QR is perpendicular to PQ, this is another one. So PQ is an altitude, RQ is an altitude. So we have PQ, QR, and the third one, which would be drawn from Q all the way till the opposite side, let's call it QX, is the third altitude. So there are three altitudes in this triangle as well, out of which PQ and QR are the sides of the triangle. So in this case, we have three altitudes again, two of which are sides of the triangle. Now come over to this triangle, which is an obtuse angled triangle. Now in this case, if we are to draw an altitude, so mind you, an altitude is a perpendicular distance. It's drawn vertically down. This is what a height is, isn't it? So in this case, if I am to draw an altitude, I would be drawing it this way. Now if you extend this side, look at where this meets. So if we are to name this point as P, then XP is the altitude of this triangle. So in this case, the altitude lies outside the triangle. This one will as well have three altitudes. We're not going to draw the other altitudes. Let's just keep it short. The overall summary here is the altitude is what? It is a line drawn from a vertex of a triangle and perpendicular to its opposite side. This is the definition of an altitude. What is worth noting here is that an altitude may lie inside a triangle. In this case, as we have, it may lie on the triangle. In this case, as we have this, the side is the altitude. So the altitude lies on the triangle. Here it is on, and here it is outside. So if you recall our discussion for medians, we had noted that the medians lie inside the triangle, no matter what kind of triangle you have, an acute angle or an obtuse angle or a right angle triangle. Every median lies inside the triangle, but in case of altitudes, the altitudes may lie inside the triangle, it may lie on the triangle, or it may lie outside the triangle. Just as there are three medians in any triangle, there are three altitudes in any triangle, and the point where the three altitudes meet is called the orthocenter of a triangle. So hope you are good with the concepts involving medians and altitudes in a triangle.